So we have a worst case scenario on the issue of foreign policy that just happened. Senate clears $717 billion defense bill, now headed to Trump. When I tell you there was no coverage in mainstream media about this, I mean there was no coverage. Adam Johnson of FAIR tweeted about this. I looked at his tweet and I was like, is he retweeting an older tweet from when this cleared the House? Like, what's going on? Because I didn't see any. I follow all news sites on Twitter. I saw no tweets about this. Like, oh, it's finally heading to Trump's desk, this giant increase in military spending. So I see Adam Johnson's tweet. I go to Google and I try to search, I go to the news section and I search $717 billion, military bill. And then you get like 4 or 5 results. And it had just happened, maybe like 2 hours before his tweet. And I go back to Twitter and I'm like, he's the only person that mentioned it. No other media outlets had tweeted about it. You know, if you turn on CNN or MSNBC, they're not talking about that shit. So, look at this. Let me give you some more facts on this. 139 Democrats joined Republicans in the House to do a massive increase in military spending. 139 Democrats. It's not a small number. And now the Senate, here's what they voted, 89-10 in favor of passing this bill. 89-10. Hashtag resistance, my ass cheeks. Resistance, 89-10. It's an increase in military spending of over $100 billion. 100 billion with a B. That's how much of an increase in military spending it is. In 1 year. To put that in perspective, the amount of money that we are increasing in the military budget is more than all of Russia's military budget. It passes a yawn. Mainstream media is not talking about it. Nobody's onto it because they don't know, because it's not being reported. This bill includes 13 new warships. Now, remember back during the debate, Obama versus Romney? And, Romney was like, oh, we don't have nearly as many ships as we need. And Obama's response was, we don't have any horses or bayonets either, because the world is evolving and we don't need that particular, we don't need that particular branch of the military as much anymore. I mean, why? Why do we need 13 more ships? I mean, what's happening? Are we being invaded by Somali pirates off the coast of the Carolinas? 13 new ships. It cost $24.1 billion to make these wildly unnecessary 13 new ships. So, look at all these facts. Now, the Democrats tell me on a daily basis that Donald Trump is an authoritarian menace, but not only is he an authoritarian menace, he's hostile. He's an agent of a hostile foreign power. He's a puppet of Vladimir Putin. So you have a Manchurian candidate. Let me understand this right. We have a Manchurian candidate in power right now who's not representing the interests of the American people. He's representing the interests of a hostile foreign power. And 139 of you in the House decided to support giving him an increase in the military budget of over $100 billion. And in the Senate, it was 89-10. So the overwhelming majority of the Democrats voted right along with this to give an authoritarian menace Manchurian candidate $100 billion more in military spending. This is absolute lunacy. That's what this is. So this is one of those stories where if the Democrats were actually interested in resistance, there wouldn't be a single elected Democrat who voted for this, number one, but number two, who would shut up about it. You would have every elected Democrat in the country at a national level would be screaming through a megaphone, tweeting until their fingers bled, saying, "Oh my God, we're getting this authoritarian, lunatic, thin-skinned buffoon maniac who maybe is a puppet to a foreign power. We're not giving him an extra $100 billion. We wouldn't even give him a cut. We're not going to vote for any military bill with this guy as president because he's a crazy person. He's a menace. He's an authoritarian, as he's proven time and time again. And maybe he's a puppet to a foreign country. Why would we pass a military budget for this guy? Never mind a military budget with an increase of over $100 billion. See, this is what I mean. This is why I get so upset. This is why I get so angry, because it's all kabuki theater. Why the fuck do you think they talk nonstop about the Russia thing? Because it allows them to resist without resisting. Think about that. Let that point digest. It allows them to resist without resisting. The people who are most upfront and leading the charge on Russiagate, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, the most corporate of corporate Democrats. Why? Because they get to go out there and make all these anti-Trump mouth noises. Oh my goodness. Well, look at what, I hope this president stands up to Russia. Sir, why are you, why are you not putting even more sanctions on them? Why are you questioning NATO and saying, hey, maybe they need to pay their fair share? Sir, how dare you question this liberal international order? I am so against what you are doing, sir. Please. So they get to make all these anti-Trump mouth noises, but it doesn't impact policy in any stretch of the imagination. And in the rare instances where it does impact policy, they're resisting Trump from the right. And they're saying, I want you to put more NATO troops on his border. I want you to put more, ships, U.S. warships in the Black Sea. So, in other words, you don't have to talk about Medicare for all. You don't have to talk about, the 3 million people who just got kicked off of healthcare under Trump's first year because he did anti-Obamacare executive orders. You don't need to talk about the 93,000 jobs that Trump outsourced in his first year. You don't need to talk about declining wages. You don't need to talk about a new deal to fix our infrastructure, which gets a grade of D+. You don't need to talk about Fight for 15. So you take every single real issue, ending the wars. You don't need to talk about that. Put that to the side, because I'm going to appear to be really anti-Trump without actually resisting Trump when it comes to policy. So I'll just make all these noises about Russia, and then at the same time, vote to empower this guy. You can't talk about how Trump is hostile to a foreign power and he's an authoritarian, and then at the same time, give his NSA, vote to give him his NSA more spying powers, warrantless spying powers. They did that also. This is why I get mad, because it's kabuki theater. It's resistance without resisting. That's what that is. You get to do all the grandstanding. Here I am, grandstanding against Trump. Oh, he is so bad. Let me wag my finger at you. Anyway, is it time to vote on the military bill? I hereby give you $100 billion more in military spending and all these unnecessary new warships. Shame on them. Shame on them, man. This is all the status quo. That's what this is. 100% status quo garbage. Donald Trump is the most establishment president I've ever seen in my life. He's just an establishment president plus mean tweets. And the Democrats are going right along with him on the issues where it actually matters, on all the substantive policy issues. Have you noticed that they're sitting idly by as Trump deregulates every single thing in sight? Why? Because they're okay with that. They support that. Many of them do support that. They want to deregulate Wall Street because they also take Wall Street money. So this is why I'm angry. I actually want to resist Donald Trump. I want to see the Democrats lead a charge for a substantive populist left policy vision, but they're not doing it. They're just making anti-Trump mouth noises as they vote along with him on the most egregious of all the issues. And I haven't heard a single person, not a single one, talk about how are we going to afford this? I mean, $100 billion increase? Who are we kidding? $717 billion military budget. We already spend more than the next 9 or 10 biggest militaries in the world combined, and most of them are our allies. Who the fuck? Not a single person. Can we afford this? Who's gonna pay for all this dumb, adventurous, unnecessary, offensive military spending? Who's gonna pay for it? Who's gonna pay for this? Bernie's College for All bill would cost about $80 billion. And by the way, he pays for that with a transaction tax on Wall Street, which is like the best way to pay for it. When he proposed that, everybody in mainstream media melted down. Everybody. 80 free college? How are we going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for this, Bernie? Let me wag my finger at you. We can't afford basic things for the American people and what's supposed to be a democracy when they want these things. Can't afford it. Can't afford it. $100 billion increase. Way more than Bernie's Medicare for All bill. Still have $20 billion left over for shits and giggles on a rainy day. Nobody said anything. Nobody was like, we can't afford this. They grandfather military spending in. It's like, I don't know, we kind of view it as a necessity, even though it's objectively not a necessity, and we are the offensive imperialist superpower. So whatever, we're just going to grandfather it in, and we can't disagree with it, and it just is. And then Democrats are scared to death that if they vote against it, that Republicans will paint them as weak on defense. So they're like, okay, yeah, here, fine. 89-10 in the Senate, we're with you. You know, the entire Senate, 89-10. 139 Dems joined in the House. Shame on them. Shame on them. This is disgusting. This is grotesque. And by the way, this is what leads to losses for Democrats. Who's going to get excited about going to vote for us and we'll do the same thing as the Republicans? You know what millennials say to that? Go fuck yourself with a cactus. That's what they say to that. You want me to vote for you and you're going to do the same shit that they're doing? Why the fuck would I vote for you? Because at least when it comes to them, they're honest, they're upfront. The Republicans are like, yeah, we believe in imperialism and we're going to blow everything up. The Democrats are like, oh, no, I don't know about all that. Hey, we should be smart in how we use our power. And then they get in there and they vote to do the same thing as the Republicans. So you're disingenuous. At least the other guys are honest about how shitty they are. You're like, I'm not that shitty. Just kidding, I'm going to vote in a really shitty way. We got to get Justice Democrats elected. Because there's not a question where they stand. We know where they stand. We know that they're against this garbage. Oh my goodness. This drives me nuts. I can't scream against this enough. Because there's such a gap in the media of people talking about this. And it's like, I can't do it justice. I alone cannot do it justice. How fucking stupid this is. How dumb this is. We just increased the military budget by $100 billion. We already spend more than the next 9 or 10 biggest countries combined. We have 900 military bases that cost over $100 billion a year to maintain. Why is nobody talking about, hey, maybe we can reduce that number a little bit since our fucking infrastructure gets a grade of D+? Flint, Michigan doesn't have clean water. Other places in the U.S. don't have clean water. And we just increased $100 billion for imperialism. That's what this is, for imperialist purposes. Increase $100 billion. Yeah, no problem. Oh, people are being poisoned in Flint? I don't care. Infrastructure D+? I don't care. 93,000 jobs just outsourced? I don't care. Half of American workers make $30,000 a year or less? I don't care. I don't care. More imperialism. More American exceptionalism. More wars. More death and destruction overseas. Why do they hate us? Why do they hate us? I don't understand why they hate us. Anyway, let's vote more to bomb them and increase military spending even more. The empire is crumbling in front of everybody's eyes. And then they put the pedal to the metal even more in the wrong direction. And the resistance to steal from my friend Jimmy Dore has become the assistance.